Hello there, my name is Amanda May and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over my January wrap-up where I tell you how I feel about all of the books that I read in January. So we're not going to do this in any particular order, like I'm not going to go through which book I finished first and go from there. I have notes on my computer down here that are they're not in any particular order and I'd like to follow this order, so sorry. So we're going to start with Fireborne by Rosaria Munda. I was really excited about this book from when I first heard about it on Elliot Brooks's channel. I'll link her channel down below. She described this as a highly political fantasy, and of course it has dragons, so yay. So I mean, who doesn't love having dragons in their stories? Honestly, dragons are awesome. So I was super excited about this. And as I've said before, this is kind of like an Anastasia trope, if you will. One of the main characters was royalty, but when he was really young, his entire family was slaughtered by revolutionaries. So, and his parents did some pretty bad things. So while he loved them and he thought that they were wonderful, the people did not. The people saw them as cruel rulers, and that's why they rose up and overthrew that regime. So he is orphaned. He does escape the slaughter. He's orphaned, and when he gets to this orphanage, he befriends a fellow orphan whose family was actually murdered by his family. So that doesn't make for a complicated friendship at all, does it? So that complication creates a lot of the tension that we have in this book, because we are jumping back and forth between his point of view and her point of view. And even though they are really good friends, they grew up together, they have protected each other and been there for each other through a lot of hard things, there is that lingering thing in the background of them having such different backgrounds. This book was on my 5-star predictions list, but when I started reading it, I was honestly a little doubtful. I thought maybe it'd be closer to a 4-star read, but then when I got into like the second half, closer to the end of the book, it started really feeling like a 5-star book for me. And I do think that I am going to rate this 5 stars. I just finished this last night, so I need a little bit of space from it to see, how I feel in the long run. But yeah, this might be a 5-star book for me. This was really good. I was surprised when I picked up this book that it is written in present tense. That is not my favorite writing style. It took me a while to get used to it. I did eventually get used to it and then it didn't bother me anymore, but that is something whenever I come across a book that is written in present tense, it takes me longer to get into it because the writing style is just not my preference, not what I'm used to. So there's that. If you don't like present tense writing, this might be harder for you to get into like it was for me. Elliot Brooks said on her channel that she felt that the politics in this book just felt real, like they felt really believable compared to a lot of other political books that she has read. She mentioned the fact that the author was like a political science major or a political something major, so the author knows what she's talking about. I agree with Elle. The politics in this book are next level. So if you like politics in your books, if you like dragons in your books, I highly recommend that you pick this up. Next up, we are going to be talking about The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is the first book in the Folk of the Air trilogy, and I liked this book maybe more than I even thought I would, to be honest. So at the beginning of this book, I was definitely getting Agotar vibes. It reminded me a lot of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I could tell that there was a lot of misdirection in the writing, and I don't hate it. I'm okay with it. But Sarah J. Maas and Tahara Mafi, those books actually, they prepared me pretty well for what Holly Black had coming in the story. I was totally trying to figure out the formula in reading this book. I was not convinced about who was actually bad and who was actually good. I also found myself really liking the main character, which honestly surprised me because she's not that great of a person. She doesn't make the best decisions. She's really not even that nice most of the time. And I found myself rooting for her anyway. I don't know why. But anytime she would do something like bold or something mean, like verging on cruel even, I would be like, yeah, you go, you do it. You do the thing. And usually when characters make stupid decisions, I cringe and it just makes me upset and not like the character. But somehow Jude pulls it off. Jude is our main character. Jude pulls it off and I love it. And I want to read more about her. I also really like trying to figure out the other characters and what their actual motives are. I think the only character I truly did not like in this story was our main character's twin sister. Like, I just didn't like her. She was the one that I was like, oh, you're so dumb. Why are you doing this? Why are you like this? Why aren't you doing this other thing? So I could do without her. Granted, she wasn't in the story all that much anyway, but she was the one that was getting on my nerves. The main character, I was like, yes, you go, you do the thing. It was amazing. But not her twin sister. Her twin sister kind of sucks. There was also a point, I wonder if I know where it is. There's also a point kind of, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but kind of towards the end of the book, there's like two characters are dialoguing, they're talking. One of the characters is trying to get more information out of this other character. And so this other character's response is, oh yes, let me tell you my whole plan. You've goaded me right into it. And goes on to say, like, let's not stall anymore. This is the part where we fight. I really appreciated that, okay? I don't understand in stories and books, TV shows, whatever, where usually the evil villain is like, I gotcha, now I'm going to divulge my entire plan and give you time to think and to escape, and then you'll know what I'm up to and you'll be able to thwart me. It's so dumb. And this acknowledged that, and it was like, oh yeah, sarcastically, yeah, sure, let me tell you my entire plan. No, just kidding. This is where we fight. Let's get on with it. It was amazing. I wanted to applaud. It's wonderful. I could probably do an entire spoiler-filled video about this, and maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see. But I really enjoyed this. I was expecting to enjoy it just based off of the hype, but once I started to get to know the characters, I was honestly expecting not to enjoy it that much. But I don't know, something about them just pulled me in and made me want to know, like, what are they gonna do next? So it was fun. It was a fun ride. I am so looking forward to reading the second one really soon, in February for sure. Next up, we're going to talk about The Lost Spells by Robert McFarlane and Jackie Morris. Now, this is a collection of poetry and art. One of the authors is the poet, one of them is the artist, and it is beautiful art. You can't see that. It's stunning art. Like, look at this. That is so cool. And all of it is like that. It's just, look how pretty that is. I'm showing you the pages where it's like the entire spread is art. There is poetry in this book, I promise. Each poem is about a different creature or plant, and usually it's about like, what would it be like if this creature or plant weren't around anymore? And so it's commenting on environmentalism and trying to protect the planet and preserve the species that we have on this earth, and I really appreciate that message. And I did enjoy some of the poetry. Poetry is not something I am accustomed to reading a lot of, but some of the poems were really fun. Some of the meters that the poetry was written in was really fun, but a lot of the poems they didn't hit me, which is not surprising. I mean, you get so many poems in a book, and surely some of them are not gonna hit home. I did think I was gonna like this more after reading just the first page, like a full page of text, not a poem, because just the first page was making me want to cry. I thought that the entire book would make me want to cry based on reading the first page, because it made me want to cry. It just portrays such sadness in the possibility of these things going away, these creatures and these plant species, but also portrays hope that we can do something about it and that we can preserve the variety and the diversity of life on this planet. So if that sort of thing interests you at all, if you like poetry, I really do highly recommend that you pick this up. It is beautiful, the message is wonderful, the art is amazing. If you don't like poetry though, maybe, don't pass. It's okay, it's fine. But I'm trying to read more poetry this year, so this was a good start, I think, to my year of poetry. Espresso break. Okay, so next up, we're gonna be talking about the audiobook that I listened to in January, and that was The Lives of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. I really like this book. This was a 5-star book for sure. I also highly recommend the audiobook. The narrator is wonderful, really wonderful. But I did try to follow along in the book while listening to the audiobook, and I was surprised at how different it was. Like, whatever the narrator was reading from is not this version of the book. It's the same, like, the sentence structures are the same, the storyline is the same, most of the words are the same, but multiple times per page, there would be words and phrases that would be different or added or taken away, and it was just really, it surprised me. I don't know if that's common or not, but I couldn't follow along to the narrator. I had to just listen to the audiobook without reading along. But that was fine. Usually I listen to audiobooks while I'm doing something else anyway, like chores or doing my hair or whatever. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I picked this up mostly because Murphy Napier really, really recommends it. I think this is her favorite book of all time. I'll link her channel down below. But she said that the friendships in this book are amazing, and y'all, she didn't lie. The friendships are awesome. I really appreciated that. I feel like more books need solid friendships, not romances. We have plenty of romances out there. We need better friendships, and this book has it, man. The friendships in this book are so good. Also, our main character, Locke Lamora, is a genius. He is a prodigy thief. He has a really sharp and witty tongue that helps get him both in and out of a lot of trouble. And I really enjoyed following him and his band of thieves and learning how they planned to pull off this major heist, how things went wrong, all the twists and turns. He is not the only genius character in this, so it's not like he is outsmarting all of the other people in the storyline. No, he gets outsmarted himself. He even complains about it at one point, that it seems like everyone's outsmarting him. So I really appreciated that it wasn't like he was at such a high tier above everybody else. No, there were characters that could challenge him. So I appreciated that. Wonder if I did mark a few things in here, so let me look at those really quick. Oh dude, yeah, Wraithstone. It's terrifying. So I highly recommend that you pick up this book. I actually highly recommend you pick up the audiobook, that you listen to the audiobook, because the narrator, like I said, is fantastic. But either way, I think that this is a really great story if you're into strong friendships, heist stories, found family, really witty, snarky characters. Definitely give this a try. It is fantasy, but it's honestly not super heavy in the fantasy aspect. So it would be a good book for anybody who is wanting to maybe get into fantasy but doesn't have a lot of fantasy background or experience. Might be good. Yeah, highly recommend it. 5-star book. So glad I read it. Can't wait to continue with these characters. Another book that I finished in January was The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 3rd book in the Mistborn trilogy, and oh my goodness. It broke my heart. It made me feel all the feels. I finished this book and I was crying, and I had to. I went upstairs to ask my husband to do something for me, and he was like, "Are you okay?" I didn't know what to do with myself. I did not know what to do with myself when I finished this book. It was so good. So good. I'm probably gonna do a spoiler video just going through this. There's a lot. You can maybe see I marked it up a decent amount. Y'all have probably already heard me say the synopsis for Mistborn a million times already, because I've been reading all 3 of the books. Obviously I just finished the 3rd one, but real quick, Mistborn follows a band of thieves. It's kind of like Locke Lamora in that sense. And they are trying to overthrow the evil Lord Ruler that has ruled for 1,000 years. The entire world is like apocalyptic. It is a dreary place, man. It is full of ash in the air. There are these volcanoes that spew ash into the air all the time. The plants are brown. There's no such thing as green grass. Like, it is a depressing place to be. And the government system is not ideal. It is not a happy place to be if you were not the nobility. So, but our band of thieves has the goal of overthrowing the Lord Ruler, replacing him with a better government, essentially ending slavery of the majority of the human population. And there's the found family trope, which we love to see, and it's just wonderful. This is the perfect intro into Sanderson's world, his Cosmere universe. And now I just need to read all of his books, because this is like one of my favorite series of all time. This is up there. You should read it. If you haven't read Mistborn, you should. It's amazing. So another book that actually came out in January and that I finished reading is Winterkeep by Kristen Cashore. This is kind of like the fourth installment in the Graceling series. They're all kind of standalones, but I do highly recommend that you read them in order. Things will make so much more sense if you do. But this one follows one of the third book's main character, Bitterblue, as her kingdom interacts with this new nation, this new group of nations that were recently discovered across an ocean. And the main nation that they interact with is called Winterkeep. We get a few new characters. There are also these blue foxes that are telepathic and bond to one single human for their life. And that's really interesting because one of the points of view we get is one of the foxes. And I really enjoyed that. I really like it when authors try and portray animals' points of view, because it's really fun to see what they think the animal's thought process would be like. Usually it's different from a human's, and usually the way that they like think of things or say things in their head is different than we would. And I just really enjoy that. And I think Kristen Cashore did a really good job with that. There's more than just foxes that we get points of view from. There's also some ocean creatures that we get. So that's really fun. However, the main new character, probably honestly the main character of the entire book, is this new girl. Her name is Lovisa, and she is from Winterkeep. She is the daughter of two politicians, one of which actually being the president of Winterkeep. Winterkeep is a democracy. And I hated her. I really didn't like her. I didn't understand her. I couldn't see a single part of myself in her, so she wasn't relatable. And all of her decisions were really dumb, really stupid. She thought she was really smart and clever, but I couldn't stand this girl. I could not stand this girl. And you know what I thought of, like, close to the end of reading this book, is that she reminds me of Alina from, what's it called? Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I'm sorry, does anybody like Alina? I know people do, I'm sorry. There are people, I've heard there are people who like Alina. But I don't. I hate Alina, and I hate Lovisa even more, I think. I think I hate her even more, guys. She doesn't make sense. I don't like her. How many times can I say I don't like her? So it was a struggle getting through this book, and I was so sad. I really wanted to like it. I love Graceling. I remember liking Fire. I remember liking Bitterblue enough. Bitterblue's honestly not my favorite character either, although in this book she was fine. When you don't like the main character, it's really hard to like the book. So I'm sad. I'm sad that I didn't enjoy this, but I didn't. I don't know what I would rate it. I'm sorry, I don't really rate books I don't like, but maybe just hopefully me saying I don't like it is enough. Hopefully you like it. If you like Graceling, I think you should give it a shot, but I don't know what else to say. I'm glad I read it, because if I didn't read it, it would always be on my TBR forever, because it's the Graceling realm and I love Graceling. So like I had to read it, I kind of wish it wasn't as long though. Like it's decently long. It's like 500, 400 pages, 500. It's 500 pages, so at least it's pretty. It has a blue fox on it, which is adorable. And the dust jacket's really pretty. You know what? There were some things that I liked. I'm gonna find them. Oh, and there's this whole thing about like in Winterkeep, there are certain animals that are telepathic, like the blue foxes. And so some people believe in protecting these animals, and they call them sentient animals, which I have somewhat of a problem with, because like, come on guys, all animals are sentient. I don't, anyway. But I did like that was a concept discussed in this book, was animal rights, which I am so pro animal rights. I love animals. I love animals more than people, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm really not. Oh, there's another part this is not spoilery, I'm trying to remember all of the things, and I have markers for all of the things that I actually did like about this book, because I'm hating on it so much, but it does have some merit, and I want to acknowledge that. There's one point where a character is judging a bunch of people, I think actually children, judging a bunch of students about their prejudices, and he catches himself judging these students and acknowledges like, I shouldn't be so hard on them. Like, I was them once. I had the same prejudices once. And acknowledging that people don't always know that there are better ways to be and think and live, and that you maybe shouldn't discount their existence based on what they've been told all their lives, because people can grow and people can change. And so there are good things, good concepts in this book, and if I'd liked the main character, maybe I would have liked this book more. Also has commentary on being resilient, being stronger. I'm using the phrase that is used in the book, being stronger than how other people or other circumstances make you feel. And I really liked that concept as well. I guess the last thing was, and this is in the blurb actually, the main character is throughout the book struggling with who she's been all her life, and how that is in contrast with who she maybe needs to become based on, you know, all the stuff that happens in the book, and her struggle to transcend what she's so used to, the box that she's so used to living in. And all of these reasons that I'm bringing up make it sound like this is such an amazing book, but oh, I just didn't enjoy it. There are little gems here and there, but overall, didn't enjoy this book. Sorry to say. So that's all I got to in January. I read those 6 books. I did not get to House of Dragons, Imagine Me, or Red Queen. And I'm putting House of Dragons on my February TBR, but my February TBR is already really long, and I honestly might not get to it. So I didn't put the other 2 on my February TBR, because that would just be a ridiculous stretch. And I don't want to feel like I'm failing every month, so I'm trying to be, you know, a little bit realistic, at least close to realistic. But oh well, it's okay. I'll read those someday. And my quote for you today is from Hero of Ages, since we talked about that earlier, and the quote is, "The nature of the world is that when we create something, we often destroy something else in the process." Which honestly might be my favorite quote from that entire book. And it's a sobering thought in my opinion, and so it really stood out to me. I wanted to share it with you. If you've read the book, the quote means so much more too. It's so fitting. But yes, I like that, so I wanted to share it. But that brings us to the end of this video. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, like that. And if you would please subscribe, I would really appreciate it. But in any case, please leave a comment down below letting me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. or if you're looking forward to reading any of these books in the near future, I would love to hear from you. But otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Bye!